Cardinals coming off of 2 wins in the span of less than 7 days, Wolf, and in those 2 games, Kyler Murray, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 452 passing yards. I can't do the math on 2 quarterback ratings like that. It's off the top of my head, but pretty good performances in both. Statistically, obviously, more so against Miami. Against the Chargers, it was more of making plays when they needed to be made. But against the Dolphins, once again, not the first time he's done this season where he's just kind of looked like he was in control the whole game. I don't know what stat necessarily quantifies that other than wins.
Yeah, I would agree with that right there. Listen, there are games that Kyler Murray has played in the past, go all the way back to 2020, as a matter of fact. 2020. How about that? Go back to that. They were playing the Philadelphia Eagles, as a matter of fact, at home. They won the game 33-26. He threw for 406 yards in that game. Okay,
Pretty
it's
good.
just one example of a game that Kyler Murray has had great numbers, no doubt about that. And they actually won the game as well. But based on what I saw from Kyler Murray against the Miami Dolphins this past Sunday, that to me, I've got to tell you, Luke, I don't know if I've ever seen him play better. And it's because of all the extenuating circumstances. We were talking about this yesterday, but the dust is settling here on the Wolf and Luke show, is it not? Because it's a Tuesday, and that's what happens. The dust is settling. What does it mean that Kyler Murray went out and made so many plays? Whether it was with his legs or his arm or both. He made so many plays that made a difference in this game. Might be the best game I think I've ever seen him play.
I'll add to that. I don't know if it's the best I've ever seen him play. I mean, that Rams game earlier this season was pretty lights out. Now, they blew the Rams out. So it's like, I hear what you're saying. The game on Sunday, they needed him to lead a game-winning drive, his second in less than a week. And he also threw for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. So the way you said it, where you maybe haven't seen him ever play a better game, it's hard to argue with that, honestly. But he's had some other games, I think, that are right there. But the thing I would add to what you said is I actually kind of like the way he has handled the Marvin Harrison Jr. situation this season, where it doesn't feel like he's ever forced him the ball to the detriment of the team. But I also do feel like as these games have gone on, he's realized you've got to get Marv the ball, otherwise what's the point? I felt like on Sunday he got him the ball when he threw him 7 official targets. They had the one that got called back. 7 official targets, 6 catches. He made sure he was a main part of the offense, but it was because it fit the game. It wasn't like he was forcing it to him.
Yeah, you're right about that. But for me, overall, it's the situation again. It's the context for Kyler Murray. It's the context of not starting well after the first quarter, of not having the ball for the most part of the first quarter, but not starting well and being down 10-0 and rallying his team and doing it all the way through the rest of the game. They were down in this game and did not lead until they did lead. And that was the last play of the game. And that, to me, is exactly the kind of game you want your quarterback to lead your team back and win. When you've been down the entire game, it is a great lesson to everybody that is on the sideline. It is a great lesson to his teammates in regard to just do your job. I was talking about this yesterday, but for me, it's Kyler Murray making that run on 3rd and 4 and gaining 7 yards. It was a called, scheduled run for Kyler Murray. And Zay Jones did a great job getting a block on that defensive end coming up, and Kyler ran around him, and then a little move, and then he dove forward for 7 yards. That was a huge 3rd down. And yet I'm thinking about the throws, too, to Marvin Harrison Jr. So to me, it's not just the numbers, and the numbers were good for him. It's when he did it and the fact that he started poorly as well. The entire team was a little sleepy in that first quarter, and yet they rallied themselves, led by Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray, literally, when he had to do it, went 4 for 4 for 47 yards and had a huge run, that huge conversion with his legs.
First time this season they've won a game where he really didn't run for that much. That 7-yard run you're talking about was his longest of the game. He had 19 yards on the ground. The other 3 wins he ran for 59, 64, and 83 yards. And 2 of those he ripped off long touchdown runs, obviously, against the Chargers and the 49ers. Here's Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football yesterday.
Kyler Murray was incredible in this game. The Dolphins players themselves afterwards were talking about how good Kyler was. But all the internet tells me is that he is some numbskull who's addicted to video games and needs a study clause. Ha, 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 ha. That was true maybe a while ago. I might have made some of those jokes myself, but I'm telling you this Kyler is different. Release his weakness. Release Black Ops 6. Great reviews. Great reviews. GamePro loves it. A couple days later, he goes not at home where you can play, and then go to the stadium. He's got to go all the way across the country to Florida to face a renewed Dolphins team with their quarterback back. He was the best quarterback in the game. He was the best player in the game. And I'm not talking about the video game. I'm talking about the bleeping football game.
Wow.
Boy, he's fired up right there, Kyle. No doubt about it. But, you know, he was the difference maker. He was the bad man of this game for the Arizona Cardinals. And just watching him go about his business, again, the way that he did it to bring himself back after a bad start and then close and finish and give Chad Ryland a makeable field goal the way that he did. Now, he had a lot of help from everybody else. Isn't that right, James Conner? He did. Offensive line as well. But it was Kyler Murray who was the beating heart of that comeback. And to see him actually do it and pull it off, I think this is going to go a long, long way for the 4-4 Arizona Cardinals.
I wonder, and I don't even really totally know how to get the answer here because I don't know that social media would be the way to do it. But I wonder what the percentage of Cardinals fans, just talking about Cardinals fans here, that were on board with Kyler Murray, let's say 2 years ago. This is our guy. You know, I want this guy to spend the next 10 years of his career here as the Cardinals. And I wonder what that number is now, what that percentage is. Like, I want to know how much it's jumped over the course of basically him coming back at the end of last season and the first 8 games of this season. He's essentially now played a season since the injury, right? Half last year and half this year. I wonder how much that number has jumped. And I also wonder how many Cardinals fans that are like legitimately Cardinals fans out there don't believe in him yet. You know what I mean? Or you know, and how many of those just won't ever believe in him no matter what? Because he is getting better. And again, if you ever feel like, well, you know, but he's not Mahomes. No, he isn't. Watch some of the other games around the league. I'm not saying Kyler Murray's going to take you to win multiple Super Bowls or any Super Bowls. I'm waiting and seeing too. But I'm not going to pretend that he's not better than a lot of the starting quarterbacks in this league because he is better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in this league, and he is getting better.
Yeah, no, he is getting better. He is in the process of developing. And I know a lot of people say, year 6, what are you talking about? Yeah, I know, I understand that. But once again, how much experience did he have at the college level? When you stop and think about it?
He missed a year, too. To me, the year 6 thing makes sense when you're like, shouldn't we know what he is? I think we're starting to find out what he is.
Yes.
I think a year ago we didn't know.
And I think, honestly, as well, I think Kyler Murray would be the first one to tell you. He might have been immature when he came in here.
That didn't help.
No, it did not help.
Yeah, he did some of this to himself.
There's no doubt about it. And I think he's only gotten better and better and better. And we're seeing the best version right now. This is what I love about this game, Basinonians. Kyler Murray just set the bar for himself. This game, I think, is the bar that I want to see. Everything about it, right down to the scheduled runs and the unscheduled runs. The calls for Kyler Murray to run the ball and not run the ball. Throwing the ball for over 300 yards. Really, really important. Dropping dimes all over the field was Kyler Murray. And using his legs when he absolutely had to. And it's not always to go out there and gain 10, 15 yards, 20 yards running the ball, or taking it 44 yards for a touchdown. It's not always about that. It's using his legs to avoid Jalen Ramsey, who had a clean shot coming off, and all of a sudden he uses his legs to buy himself a couple of seconds to find Michael Wilson in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, he's a big reason. That offensive line, James Conner, a lot of guys are contributing to this, but Kyler's a big reason why the Cardinals have not been sacked in 3 games. That's a crazy stat.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.